Wow, how scary.
McQuay, the rents cannot be that high.
I know I usually say big news for the unemployed, but I unironically mean it this time. This drama is the biggest nothing burger. No meat, no pickles, no nothing. Okay, so I know I'm a bit late, but a video came on my radar called Th3Badd3st Refusing to Take Accountability. For those who are unaware, Th3Badd3st is a mascot horror content creator, mostly known for the Five Nights at Freddy's content, so it really makes you ask, what could she have possibly done to deserve such a video? I hate to be a downer, but this is one of the most blatant smear campaigns, if not one of the most disingenuous videos I've seen this year. Let's talk about it. So on the 19th of June, a creator known as Berry made a 22-minute video, essentially painting Th3Badd3st as some evil, demonic creator. Very scary. Now usually this is the part where we break down and react to their points, but the structure and framing is just far too malicious. Like you'd think Th3Badd3st cursed their mother out or something. I'm serious. It's unironically old man yells at cloud at moments. Berry starts off the video by making the claim that Th3Badd3st was exposed for liking a character from a game, The Coffin of Andy and Lele.
Now obviously, either by the title itself or the thumbnail of this video, you may know who this individual I'm going to be talking about is, and the person in question is Th3Badd3st. Now Th3Badd3st is a mascot horror YouTuber who tends to cover games like FNAF, Poppy Playtime, Bart the Ban Ban, and various other indie horror games as well, and you may even know them from the various collaborations they do with other big creators, whose names I'm not going to be mentioning in this video out of respect for privacy, and just in general because they're not involved in the situation directly. Th3Badd3st also nearly has 100,000 subscribers, so they are a significant public figure within the YouTube sphere, and have even had videos that have reached up into the millions of views, so they are quite a prominent figure in the mascot horror community. But within the last 24 hours, they were exposed by another user on Twitter, whose identity I'm going to be censoring for their own safety, where they showcased various different screenshots of Th3Badd3st having an obsession with a specific character, and it's a character from the highly controversial game, The Coffin of Andy and Lele.
Berry then goes on to talk about the game as if Stalin himself co-signed it.
Now, if you don't know what The Coffin of Andy and Lele is, then by all means, you are a saint, and you are very lucky to have not known, but I'm going to ruin that experience of not knowing it for you, because it is a highly controversial indie horror game that has had a lot of disturbing themes within it.
What? Horror game has disturbing subjects?
One theme, particularly, that a lot of people know this game for, is the incest, and Th3Badd3st has an obsession, or alleged obsession, with one of the main characters known as Ashley Graves. Ashley Graves is the female character in the game that is actively pursuing an incestuous relationship with her brother. Yeah.
Most people who dislike the game haven't even played the dang thing, and just assume it's all about incest. The Coffin of Andy and Lele literally features cannibalism, patricide, matricide, cult worship, violence, decapitation, and more. But people always throw a fit over the protagonist being a bit too touchy. Say whatever you want about the incestuous themes. I'm not here to defend or denounce it. I just find the acceptance of literal cannibalism, but the condemning of main characters getting a bit intimate, to be a bit ironic. The many cases of characters getting disfigured, that's okay. But the characters hugging, that's just too far. Why are we actually surprised a horror game has controversial and or taboo aspects? Five Nights at Freddy's entire theme is about deceased ghost children, but there aren't any complaints there. What's worse, grown men slaughtering children and stuffing their corpses into suits, or siblings getting a bit touchy. Nonetheless, Berry then goes on to complain about and even shame Th3Badd3st for making jokes regarding the game.
With her brother. Yeah, which you can see here in these screenshots as she openly admits that Ashley Graves is so good and that she's literally them, along with the fact that they seem to enjoy incest, which is very concerning, and even say the infamous phrase out of this whole situation, incest is wincest. That is an actual phrase that was said by this person. And this isn't even a recent thing too. Apparently Th3Badd3st has been feeling this way about incest for the last year and a half.
Now what Berry decided to coincidentally omit from the start of the video here was how this all took place in a private server.
In a private Discord server that later became not private, I have been making a lot of jokes about liking incest, because I just thought it was funny that that was an accusation hurled my way because of a video game. It's all just meant to be a big edgy joke that I just did amongst my friends, and one of my now ex-friends, I guess, I don't know, I messaged them saying something like, "Are we not friends anymore?" because they didn't give me any heads up about this. It was a private server. And one of my now ex-friends just kind of leaked it. How many people were in the server? Oh, literally like 5. It was a very small server.
Whoops, I'm just so clumsy, I excluded vital context. Aren't I so silly, clumsy chungus? Now ignoring how this took place in a private environment with what I assume to be friends, I want you to read over these messages again and for you to unironically tell me with a straight face, no hee-ha-has, that you believe Th3Badd3st was being dead-ass by saying this. She's so good, she's literally me! This is quite a problem, as Berry conveyed this in a way where Th3Badd3st was making these jokes publicly. You wouldn't make the same jokes you do within your friend group in a Discord server with hundreds of people, would you? You're allowed to dislike the jokes, I personally didn't find them funny, but making a point to shame Th3Badd3st over such things, which weren't even meant to leave a private server in the first place, just comes off as spiteful. Berry then goes on to actually touch on something of value. Don't go signing those job applications yet.
Now I'm going to move on real quick for a little bit from the whole incest part, because there's this other controversy that was brought up about the Baddest 2, where they publicly shared their public NSFW Twitter account on their public main Twitter. If you've been following the Baddest on Twitter, you may know that the Baddest has no indication that their profile is for adults only. When they went ahead and decided to just casually share their public NSFW Twitter for everyone to see, that likely included that minors saw that post. Minors saw this. Minors, young people who should not be looking at NSFW content, saw you post that, and some probably went and looked at that content. And I know they put minors do not interact in all caps before the rest of the message was read and everything, but still, why even do this in the first place?
This is something I agree with. I think it's highly irresponsible for the Baddest to promote a not safe for work account on her main like that. Though, I'm not going to be too hard on her considering she's still a teenager. I think a lot of people have the mindset where once the clock strikes midnight and someone turns 18, they immediately gain maturity of an adult. This isn't me excusing the fact this happened. This just didn't seem malicious. This wholeheartedly just seemed like an oversight on her part. I assume she thought simply playing minors do not interact would be enough. Barry then goes on to complain about the Baddest Twitter responses.
Now, with all of this negative attention they've been receiving from being exposed for all this disgusting shit that they've been doing, how do you think the Baddest responded to it? Well, if you guessed that they appear to mock and downplay the situation, then you'd be correct. Like, here are just a couple of screenshots of their responses to people about the whole thing. In one of them, they just flat out say that they are just a silly goober when someone confronts them about the weird incest stuff. And another one where they openly say, I do not care what people think about me. I have spent so much time caring what the public has to say about me, and it's exhausting. Yeah, I'm freaky, and I also said something when I was 16 that I regret. I get like 3K views a video, and I don't see why anyone even still cares.
Are you really surprised she responded like this? She made jokes within an enclosed space about a game people dislike. Who cares? This has got to be the most terminally online, never seen the inside of a job center outrage I've ever seen. She also went on to make a short video apology, which Barry also hated because why wouldn't they?
They even made a 3-minute video too, talking about the whole thing in an attempt to defend their actions, and it's not a good video.
Hi, hello, I'm the Baddest. I'm a YouTuber, and I talk about Five Nights Freddy's, Garden of Banban, all that slop. That's what I do. With that being said, though, I'm kind of surprised people are talking about me right now, because I'm so irrelevant. I have, like, no viewership whatsoever. I average 3-4K views a video. My career is over with. So there's no point in even talking about me. There's nothing to cancel. There's nothing to get rid of. I'm gone. It's over.
It really does not seem like the Baddest cares about what's going on. Like, you can definitely tell by the tone of their voice. This is just an inconvenience or something for them. Like, dude, you are actively being called out and being exposed for liking incest, and also being exposed for having a past history of being weird, like promoting your public NSFW account on your main public Twitter page where minors could see it. And your reaction to all of this is to just say, man, I'm so irrelevant. Nobody should care about me. I only have 3 to 4K views per video. My career is over. Dude, you have like almost 100,000 subs. People still watch you, bro. Your career is not dead because you're still actively making content and collaborating with people. If your career was dead, you wouldn't be on YouTube at all.
The other thing I want to address is that I recently launched a Not Safe for Work Twitter account, and I plugged it on my main account. And I guess I just didn't put enough thought into it. Sorry, my arm's getting tired. Yeah, I guess I didn't put enough thought into it. I thought putting minors do not interact was enough to, you know, just not necessarily convince minors not to look at it. I understand, as someone that was a minor and looked at some things that I shouldn't have looked at, I understand that doesn't really work, but I don't know. I thought it was good enough, which was arrogant of me. So I apologize for that. I took the tweet down. The count is still up. If you're 18 plus and you want to follow it, you can.
Okay, hold on. Whoa, wait a minute. Well, you admitted that it was wrong, but after you say all this, you casually plug it again? Because you posted this video on your main Twitter account too. You just casually plugged your NSFW account again, after saying it was bad to plug it before in that tweet, and here you are afterwards plugging it again.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Why is the title called Refusing to Take Accountability again? You have one valid criticism, and it's mentioned for about 3 minutes throughout a 22-minute video. Yes, the Baddest plugging her Not Safe for Work account in the same breath where she was announcing it was obviously a bad move, but like I said, it was just a bad move. You're purposely interpreting it as if the Baddest did this with the intent to be creepy. It's obvious this was a slip-up. She outright apologized for the post and took it down. What more do you want from her?
I mean, people are mad that I like incest. I just think it's funny. I'm gonna be so honest. I just think it's funny to run with that bit because people have gotten mad at me for liking incest so many times purely because I liked a video game. So now just running with the fact that I like incest is funny to me. It's a good bit for me. So I'm just gonna keep enjoying my bit, and I don't really care what people say about me. That's all.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. You're forgiven. Totally, man. Like, incest is just funny now, right? Incest is just one big, giant joke. Let's forget about the terrible history incest has with forced marriages, household abuse, in general, grooming, all this other terrible in history that incest has and how depraved it is. Let's forget that. You know, it's funny. It's a joke. It's a really good bit to have because, yeah, it's funny. Let's show those haters. Let's make them even more mad.
What the are you yapping about?
Barry, no, your dishonesty is showing. Not once did the baddest state they actually liked incest. It was so obviously an inside joke regarding a game. The fact you're actively mentioning outside factors such as forced marriages and grooming in relation to a joke. I will keep repeating this, a joke is just a gross weaponization of real life issues. It's not that deep. I promise you, if the baddest made a joke regarding child murder, this is in reference to Five Nights at Freddy's, by the way, instead of incest, this wouldn't be a problem. The reason why Five Nights at Freddy's gets excused is because it's obviously a joke regarding fiction. This is no different with the coffin of Andy and Lele. People will look at me like a madman if I unironically got mad at any of the Bite of 87 jokes and attempted to compare it to real life issues, because we're talking about fictional horror games. Literally no one, and I mean no one, talked about liking real incest. Barry simply assumed this and is using examples such as grooming to make the baddest, ironically enough, look as bad as possible. There's a line between fiction and reality, but Barry for some reason cannot discern the difference between the two. Going out of your way to not only disregard it, but attempting to also connect them is, I'm gonna say the P word, problematic. To translate this into hoodweeb terms, the people who like Frieza make monkey jokes 80% of the time aren't actually racist.
It seems you're a...
Barry then went on to complain about the baddest changing her name. I really wish I was joking.
I can't believe that's like an actual response. I think that is probably the worst response I've ever seen someone make regarding a controversy, dude. That is horrible. Wow. This is also a thing that was brought to my attention as well, but about a week ago, the baddest, at least as of recording this, the baddest has made a public post stating that they were changing their name to Ashley. Now, if you happen to look at the date where she announced she changed her name to Ashley, and look at the date where she talked about how much she related to Ashley Graves, it is quite a coincidence.
There is no way this person dedicated an entire segment to complaining about a trans woman changing her name. So you're telling me, just because the character from a game you dislike has the name Ashley, no one is allowed to change a name to it? You heard it straight from the Sheep PNG tuber. The very common name Ashley is off limits.
I'm not assuming that this is the reason.
Yes, you are assuming. You don't dedicate an entire segment, let alone almost the whole video, complaining about this just to speculate. Then Barry went on to complain even further about the baddest apologizing, yet again.
Again, there may be other reasons why you did this, but the fact that you changed it after having a discussion about how much you relate to Ashley Graves and said all that other deplorable stuff, it really makes it look weird timing-wise. Though after hours of being on the receiving end of negative attention and backlash, the baddest then apologized and began to backtrack from everything, quoting the following: "I'm really sorry to have let down so many people. I didn't think any of this was that serious, but I'm understanding it is. I promise I'll do better." Bro, like, the whole backpedaling here is crazy. Like, you argued and defended yourself for hours.
Argued and defended yourself, and it's a screenshot saying, I quote, "I'm just a silly goober," and the baddest admittedly coping. These replies aren't that serious, you're actively blowing this out of proportion. Generally, I don't understand this title, because I've mostly only seen her taking accountability. The baddest hasn't tried to hide anything, she's actually been quite open and transparent. Barry, I must ask, what do you want from her? It really seems like this entire video was a cope fest that the baddest made a joke about something they disliked. No jokes are allowed.
You must be from Reddit. Ugh. I can smell you from here.
The rest of the video is just Barry reacting to a live stream the baddest had, and I think the lone dislike on the VOD speaks volumes.
For transparency's sake, I will show the screenshots. I'm not going to hide anything. This is one of them. This one isn't really anything. It's just a gif of Lele from the game, and I say she's so good, she's literally me. This one is worse. This is a little meme drawing that says this game romanticizes incest, and this person's pretending to be surprised while thinking, holy shit, that's based. And I said this has been me for the last year and a half. Incest is incest. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I promise you I am taking this seriously.
Oh, really? You're taking this seriously, aren't you? Laughing at incest is wincest. Yeah, you're so serious about this whole thing.
Although what is of note is how the baddest apologized for the not safe for work Twitter account situation yet again.
But yeah, I said this, and I shouldn't have said it, I guess. But again, I was just being goofy. I was just being silly goofy. I'm just being transparent with you guys that this is something going on. I have lost about 400 followers and 200 subscribers in the last 12 hours. So yeah, it's not popular to like me right now. So I kind of feel like it's only fair that my audience knows that, because I value your guys' trust, and I do feel like I owe you guys to be fully transparent. What I do recognize as being bad is I recently started a not safe for work Twitter account, and I made the mistake of promoting it on my main account. This was just stupid of me. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought that as long as I put minors do not interact, it would be safe and fine. That's what I thought. But that was ignorant to me. That was ignorant, that was arrogant, that was just wrong. So yeah, I started a not safe for work Twitter account. I'm still gonna be using it. It's fun for me to do. It's kind of freeing for me to do. And yeah, I promoted it on my main account, which obviously has plenty of underage people following me. That was just a bad move on my part, and I apologize for that. And yeah, it was ignorant on my part. Didn't really put enough thought into it. And yeah, I definitely won't let anything like that happen again.
I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but that title is aging so poorly, it's insane. She's actively taking accountability for what matters. You have to be allergic to vitamin D to unironically call for a cancellation over edgy jokes between friends. The baddest realized where she was wrong and apologized for it. This didn't satisfy Barry though.
Well, hey, at least she didn't plug her NSFW account like before.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
But yeah, I'm still open to talking about it though. Chat, if there's any questions, or
I think that's enough to kind of go over about the stream, because I'm going to be real with you. I really do not want to sit through a whole 90 minutes worth of the stream, especially when a good chunk of it is just her doing a Q&A portion of her chat while she also plays web phishing with her chat. Also, I'm going to be real. I don't know why she thought this was a good idea to address the whole situation.
Hey, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
I've noticed how certain creators are utterly obsessed with the notion of taking accountability without actually knowing what it means. They don't actually want a person to realize where they're wrong. They just want the answer they want to hear, all for the mere possibility of acceptance. This is so terminally aligned, it's insane. This entire video can be summed up as, this person made a joke about something I personally find controversial, so I'm going to make a 20-minute video complaining about it. They also promoted not safe work to minors, by the way. Anyway, the coffin of Annie and Lele is Satan, and the baddest is double Satan.
I would like to formally apologize.
Due to the horrendous framing of the video, people were obviously pushing back on Barry in the comments, so they made a pinned comment which goes as follows.
I'm leaving a comment here to address some things I've noticed in the replies. First, to those upset about what I said regarding TCOAAL, I want to clarify that I understand I may have gotten some details about the game wrong. I apologize for that. I've never played the game myself, or watched any content about it. My comments were based on what I've seen and heard others say, and much of the discourse I came across was negative, particularly regarding some controversial themes. That said, I understand my knowledge of the game is limited, and I am sorry for any misinformation I may have presented. It wasn't the focus of the video, but I should have been more considerate.
So let's dissect this. Off the bat, not only does Barry admit they haven't played, nor have they done any research on the coffin of Annie and Lele, they purely went off what others said, and that it apparently wasn't the focus of the video.
So that was a lie.
Firstly, I think this should be a given. How are you talking so negatively about a game you haven't played, let alone even looked into? Your Steam is solely run on rumors. Like, I'm not even expecting people, including Barry, to actually play the thing. But if you're going to talk so negatively about something, especially in the context to demonize someone else, I don't know, I think actually doing research on what you're talking about is necessary. Chinese whispers ask confession. How do you make a 22-minute video and not even fact check what you're even talking about? This is embarrassing. Secondly, I can't tell if this is just an insult to everyone who watched your video, because you must wholeheartedly believe they all have Alzheimer's or are just idiots to say the coffin of Annie and Lele and your hatred for it wasn't the focus of the video. It was a nothing burger, don't get me wrong, but removing any mention of the game is like removing the buns from a burger. The baddest joking about liking the game is the very thing holding your video together. I am not joking. You can literally remove all the mentions of the game, and the video is probably only 4 minutes long at most.
I also want to emphasize that I don't have an issue with games that explore dark or taboo subjects.
This is also a lie. Yes, you most definitely do. If you didn't, this video would not exist.
A lot of you know that I have been a big fan of an indie horror game called The Coffin of Andy and Lele.
Already, we're off to a fantastic start. The Coffin of Andy and Lele. Now, if you don't know what the Coffin of Andy and Lele is, then by all means, you are a saint, and you are very lucky to have not known, but I'm going to ruin that experience of not knowing it for you. Apparently, the baddest has been feeling this way about incest for the last year and a half. Like, dude, you are actively being called out and being exposed for liking incest. You're forgiven. Totally, man. Like, incest is just funny now, right? Incest is just one big, giant joke. They only talk about it negatively because of the incest. That is why nobody likes it, because, fun fact, nobody likes incest. It's gross, it's disgusting, and the fact that that game even had it in the first place as like a theme, and even an outcome, an optional outcome, is just disgusting. Go on and joke about incest with your private group of friends. That was your solution because of people accusing you of being a fetishizer? That doesn't look good. I don't think you should handle that situation by openly joking with friends about incest. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we just going to skip that? Like, no explanation as to why you put that in your bio? In your About Me bio for people to see? None? No explanation? Just move on to the next screenshot? Really? That is not a defense. Incest, talking about incest or joking about incest in that manner is not funny. That is serious. You are being exposed for saying very depraved and disturbing shit around incest. Even if it was a joke or not, that is up. And the fact that your only response and only defense on this whole thing is that I was just joking. I was just being silly. How? Oh my god, dude, my brain is actually fried. Like, I cannot fathom, I cannot think of what to say because the entire—
Let me tell you something.
I don't think I need to further exacerbate this point. It's okay to dislike the game, but ironically enough, backpedal in the comment section is giving off major damage control vibes.
Lastly, while incest is mentioned in the thumbnail, please keep in mind that it's not the main focus of the video. There are several other topics discussed, some even more concerning, and I encourage people to watch the full video before forming an opinion.
You ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling nobody.
The other concerning topics are the fact the baddest had a not safe for work Twitter blog, which they immediately addressed numerous times. Also untrue. Did the baddest rob this guy at gunpoint? Like, why are they so malicious? It's insane.
Okay, so obviously I'm not insinuating.
Onto the video, the baddest went on to respond, stating, I appreciate the criticism. I have taken full responsibility for promoting the Not Safe for Work account. That was a genuine lapse in judgment, I didn't think it through enough, and I admit that was a mistake. As for the backpedaling, I don't see why this is a weird or wrong thing. I genuinely just didn't see the situation as serious as it was, and as it escalated, I then understood how serious it was. It's not that strange. While I do appreciate the criticisms, I do think you're being uncharitable at points. It was literally a joke. They were messages on a private server that were only going to be read by people that knew I was joking. I think it's very disingenuous to pretend we don't joke about things we shouldn't joke about in private. I may have taken it a little too far, but acting like this is some insane thing that nobody does is unfair. You also then go on to say I don't address the "do you have a brother" question for a very long time, when I do mere moments later. Again, it just seems like you're really trying to paint me as a bad person by any means necessary. I also just wonder what take accountability means for you. I've addressed it whether you like how I've addressed it or not, and I've lost hundreds of followers. I've taken as much responsibility as I can, and I'm suffering the consequences of my actions. Despite what you and your viewers think about me, I will take this as a learning experience, and I am genuinely sorry for hurting people. I assure you, I was merely making some jokes that I shouldn't have made, and as for the not safe for work account, I just made a mistake. I'm going to do better.
Not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
The video title ages poorly every second. What the baddest did, by normal people's standards, is taking accountability. They addressed the situation at hand and apologized for what was necessary. Say whatever you want regarding her jokes, but the fact Berry is intentionally sidelining the fact that not only did this take place in a private server, as in, the people present most likely understood not to take it seriously, and two, they were literally jokes, is quite dishonest. I find it quite funny Berry acts like most people don't make socially unacceptable jokes behind the scenes with their friends. The fact they have this belief the baddest must be some pure maiden who's not allowed to make, dare I say, edgy jokes with friends, literal friends, isn't even insincere. It's just insane. Who are you to dictate what someone is and isn't allowed to discuss and or joke about within a private setting with friends? I'm sure everyone cheering this on in the comments will become ukulele players overnight if their group chats got leaked. I'm tired of the idea creators should be saints who aren't allowed to joke and or discuss taboo subjects. Utter paragons of virtue who cannot make mistakes, and once they do, they must be reminded that each and every waking moment. The baddest made mistakes, could have probably handled the situation a bit better, but at the end of the day, she's still a person and she's a literal teenager. These are the reactions I'd expect from someone who's an abuser, predator, manipulator, or all of the above. Not someone who dared to make edgy jokes amongst friends. Imagine how privileged you must be to see this as a problem.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Listen, I'm not some of the baddest super fan or anything. I've only ever watched her Hello Neighbor videos, but I find it quite wild someone would make a 22-minute video essentially attempting to paint another creator some evil fiend who is incapable of taking accountability, when the video had one valid point. Generally, it's weird, do not misunderstand me, it's weird, but it's not something she needs to apologize for. It really isn't something cancelled or call out worthy. Like, this has got to be one of the most terminally online dramas I've ever seen. If you unironically want the baddest to apologize for this, you need to go outside and report back how the texture of grass feels between your feet, because this is so much of a non-issue, it's insane. Berry literally talks about how the baddest promoted not safe for work, but spent more time moaning about the coffin of Andy and Nene. Imagine sidelining the conversation pertaining to the promotion of not safe for work, just to complain about a game you've never played. But besides that, what also left a bad taste was how Berry mentioned this in the intro.
And you may even know them from the various collaborations they do with other big creators, whose names I'm not going to be mentioning in this video, out of respect for privacy, and just in general because they're not involved in the situation directly. The baddest also nearly has 100,000 subscribers, so they are a significant public figure within the YouTube sphere, and have even had videos that have reached up into the millions of views, so they are quite a prominent figure in the mascot horror community. Dude, you have like almost 100,000 subs.
The fact Berry brought up the baddest subscriber count, and the fact she had collabed with other big creators previously, it honestly feels like they just used it as a form of justification. Guys, see? She's a relevant creator, so this has to be something worth calling out. Please validate me! And then you look inside to see your usual coffin of Annie and Lele grievances, and only one point of contention. Although if you enjoyed my video, consider liking and subscribing as I make more content like this. I also have channel memberships if you want to support the channel and see content early. But yeah, that's all from me. Thanks for watching.